So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about what's the most important strategy you could be doing right now to help people in the clients that are isolated. So I'm Laurence Tham and from LaurenceTham.com. So a couple of key things right now is that obviously people are in a isolation type of mode. Now, whether you are open or closed, this particular strategy is helpful because I do have clients in the UK and also the US who are closed at the moment, who are struggling obviously to kind of deal with what to do. People who are in Australia who are open, you still have most likely a 30-50% drop off potentially, and therefore what do you do with those people, those 30-50% that are not there? So the strategy here is really important. We've been deploying the strategy for the last 3 weeks and it's been really helpful. I'll tell you why. Because what the key element here is that what you got to do is you want to stay connected. And so what's important here is there's tons of strategy. I'm going to dive into one particular strategy that will help you really move your clients forward and more importantly, stay in the top of mind. Because what happens is that when things start to go back to some sort of normality or the new normal, I call it, that what's happening is that if you don't kind of move into that space, you're going to be relegated to the bottom. And let's face it, like just because we think is the most important thing for them to come back to, so does hundreds of other businesses that are going to be opening doors at the same time. And when they do that, they're going to be screaming at them to say, come in to, you need to come in to get a haircut and so on and so forth. And all of that noise is going to be very hard to cut through if you're relegated to the bottom of the priority. But if you stay in touch during this period of time, this will be super helpful for you to kind of make sure that you are in the front of mind. And that's what is so important right now. So if you think about a couple of the key strategies here, is that what you're going to be able to do is you can actually focus in on a couple of key things. So let me sort of show you a couple of elements of what you could be doing. Now, I talked through this before in previous videos that you might have found helpful. And let me just kind of guide you through this process. There's three major strategies. Like if you want to talk about massive strategies, that what we want to do is we got to think about three elements. And the three elements is this. What we want to do is you want to advance your members, okay? And advancing your members is really critical, and because that is one of the most important strategies right now, because you've already spent years building up this asset, which is your clients. And so therefore, if you don't utilize this time to make sure you take care of them, that's going to be a massive problem. The other one is actually to grow your group, which we're not going to get into today, but also the last one is pivot your practice. And so we can kind of deal with those in another video, but I want to kind of show you one of the most major strategy right now, which is how to advance your members. So one of the key elements is that you got to remember what's the key objective here. What are we trying to do, right? What we're trying to do is remember is that we want to advance our members by doing three things. Number one, we want to make sure we care for them, right? What we also want to do is we want to learn to communicate, and we also want to make sure we connect with them. Now, I'm talking about the people who are dropped off at 30%, all right? Those patients who are in ISO, right? And if you're closed, like for some of my clients here, then it goes basically 100%. How do we stay, right, focused and caring and communicating and connecting with them? This is the key component. So you should see, like, I've done so many little things here, all these strategies to help them out, but this one is going to be helpful for you right now to kind of guide you through this process. So what this process is, what I call is really creating something called the hit list. And why is this important? Is because, well, you have all these clients to take care of. What you got to decide is, who do I start with and how do I connect with them? Literally, it's a phone call. But before you make a phone call, I think what's important for you is to decide, who do I call? Because if you are like anybody else in any particular practice, unless you just started, you have hundreds and thousands of clients that you can contact. So how do you decide which one to call? Well, first of all, you got to decide on which ones are important. So what I think about importance right now is that you need to decide on three major categories. And so creating a hit list is very, very simple. If you think about from a category perspective, is you need to kind of deal with those acutes. And the acutes are really most likely anybody who's an acute patient that, before everything's shutting down or everything's been closed, or your new patients that you've been maybe just seeing that recently. Those are the obvious first categories. The second categories are all your chronics, right? So all the chronic patients that you continually see over and over again, that they need your help all the time. And so those are your really important second categories of people. The last category here is your VIPs. These are the clients that you love and they've been seeing you for years. You want to also take care of them too. So if you divide those in 3 categories, you list them, you put them, because if you have 100 clients there, or thousands of clients, you want to put them in these 3 categories. Who are my new patients that they need to be seen right now? Who are my chronics who constantly need consistent help, they need regular care? And who are my VIPs that I always want to make sure that maybe they're the best referrals and so on and so forth, and I want to put them in that category, which are really vitally important. There's 2 other categories you might want to consider here. The 2 other categories here you want to consider are what are, besides all 3, then whatever's left over is that there are obviously my actives and my inactives, which is you might forget that, hey, they're also important too. This is the perfect time to reactivate all those clients, possibly, all right, to have a conversation with, to just check in on them. I'll talk to you about the process and how to do that in a second, but I just want you to create a hit list. This is very, very simple for you to do. And once you've done this, and what you do, then you can then go, all right, who can I assign to actually make this call? Well, first of all, you should be the one. You could probably do these ones and these ones because typically you know more in terms of their case history and what they need. They probably mostly need immediate advice for them. And I'll get to that in a second, why that's important, but you are probably the best one to handle these. The staff, the CAs, can handle these, right? Because they can handle the VIPs. If you want to do those 2, great, awesome, great, go do that too. But importantly, what potentially happens is that you want them to kind of be engaged. So if this makes sense for those of you watching right now, even if you're watching the replay, please give me a thumbs up, and at least I know you can hear me. But also just comments and say, "Go, yes, this makes sense, and this is helpful." Okay, so that helps me kind of understand, making sure that you are actually seeing this, because I can't. The second thing is, from the active list, what you can do, right, is you kind of go divide that list into 2. What you can do is you kind of go, well, one staff can take all the A's to M's, and then the other staff can take all the N's to Z. Now you have 2 separate lists, and you can actually go, you can divide and conquer, right, which is super important. And you can do the exact same thing for the inactives as well. What I'm doing here is to help you kind of sift through thousands of clients here and figure out who to go for. Obviously, your priorities are 1, 2, and 3, and then if you have time, then go for this. Okay, so once you create a hit list, now you have an opportunity, right? Now you have an opportunity to actually connect, communicate, and care for your clients, as I mentioned over here, which is such an important aspect, because when you can do that, that really helps you be able to really figure out how to build out for this. Because when you re-enter this marketplace, when you start to go back, which you should be starting to think about, and for those of you still open, you've got to figure out, how do I get those 30 to 50% back? Then what you need to do is you need to stay connected with them. So if you're open right now, all right, if you are open, right, for those of you who are open, then you should obviously be active in practice, but you also have this 30% you should be calling. You should be connecting with them. You should be connecting and communicating them somehow, whether it be through social media or through Messenger. But I would advise you to actually call them. Why is that so important? Well, because you need to connect with them and care for them. Well, the process is very, very simple. Let me just kind of dive through, and I won't go into too much detail, but you can kind of get some of the idea. The process is relatively just going, we'll start with just caring. Ask them, how are you doing? Like, just be a human being for once, right? Just a second, check in on them. It's really just a check-in. The check-in is just a simple process in going, hey, just want to check in on how you and your family are doing. Are you coping okay? Have you lost your job or anything like that? That's something that you would need to know just to kind of get some context. Then the next thing you might want to do is, like, is there any particular problem? Any problems you're trying to solve? Right? If there's a particular problem you're trying to solve, then this is a perfect opportunity to ask them. Now, if the answer is no, right? If there's no problems, great. Then what you should be doing is schedule them for the next call, right? Because why is that important? Well, you need to make sure that you're still staying connected with them. I remember talking with, these are the acutes or chronics, these are also your VIPs. Then schedule the next call, whether it be 2 weeks, whether it be 3 weeks, whatever you think is appropriate. You're the doctor, you already should know what that interval should be. Okay, and then you just kind of update them. But if there is a problem, if there is a yes, right, to that, then what you need to do is provide, okay, let me do an assessment. Let me assess you, right, to figure out what's necessary. Now, you may not be able to have time for that. So that may happen is that you might have to do a secondary, secondary call, right? And if that's the case, then you go through the same process as what we're just doing here. And if you can assess them, then what we do, then the next thing is then obviously you just got to figure out what's the recommendation, right? What is the recommendation? And here's no different. If you're doing virtual calls, now remember, the assumption I'm making is that they don't want to come in. They're stuck in isolation. They don't want to come in. So that's fine. If that's the case, then your recommendation needs to be in going, okay, one recommendation is going to be this. whatever this is. It might be right, we need to do, once a week, we need to have a call with you. I'm going to give you some instructions and stretches and actually how to help you do that. If you're in rehab, this is a perfect example to kind of actually literally do what you need to do. Schedule a 30-minute call, 15-minute call, whatever you need to do. And successfully, we have clients right now who are in isolation, people are not coming in and the practices are closed, and they've been doing this successfully and getting paid for it too, right? You can, if you have a technique and your style of practice allows for this, right? Stop thinking about the people who can come in. You also got to think about those people who didn't, because this is going to be a lot harder for you to come out of this if you don't pay attention to the people that you are stuck in isolation or choose to be in isolation. You need to take care of those people too. I know you're an essential worker. I know you're essential for those people who are coming in, but you're also stuck in the bias that you think everybody's like that. You got to remember the people. You also have clients, right? In every aspect, no matter where you are in the world, there are clients who just are afraid to come in. They also need care too. And when you can actually do this and provide a right recommendation for them, you can then follow up with a whole bunch of calls for them to help them, allow them to feel cared for, feel connected to, and communicate with. And if you can do that, you actually have ability to be able to stay front in mind. And therefore, when you're front in mind, and when you do go open, or when they feel comfortable for them to come through, you have a perfect opportunity now to be able to say, we're open now, let's help you down. So that's my quick little strategy that's so simple, but yet it has changed the way people are coming back to it. So for example, one of my clients have been shut for 4 weeks and just started this week, and they were back to about 90% of capacity simply because they've been doing this for the last 2 to 3 weeks. So most of you are already starting to do this. I see that a lot of people are doing that. If you haven't, please do this now. You have a small little window to be able to execute this strategy, and it's very simple. It's just caring for your clients. That's the basic strategy. So I just given you some talking points on how to do that, and this should be helpful to help you get back to regularity and get back to your capacity as soon as possible. Because what you don't want to do is start from zero when everybody else is trying to get them back to whatever restaurant business or whatever they're trying to get to, and have to build it up to all that hard work you've already been building through all these years of your life. So I hope this has been helpful. If you need help, just give me a shout. If you like this video, please like it. If you comment on the below, let me know what else do you want to know. I'll be happy to help you through this. But most importantly, stay safe and make sure that your patients are taken care of, because let's face it, they need you right now. They need you more than ever moving forward in the future. And this is the time to be able to activate and stay front in mind, because this is when they know they need you. So therefore you can help them, remind them that you know what to do and that you actually care for them. All right, talk to you soon. Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, that subscribe button, you should press it. And because I want to share videos with you just like this one to help you grow your practice.